Let's move on with a look through the international newspapers with Flo. Hi there, Flo.
Hi, Kat.
We're going to start off in the United States. Now, this story about a police officer in Texas who has now actually resigned after he was caught on tape pulling his gun on a group of teenagers who were being rowdy at a pool party.
That's right. This is really a huge story in the U.S. media. So let's start, first of all, with an article in the New York Times. The latest update is that Corporal David Eric Casebolt resigned over the incident. So this incident happened on Friday. There was this video that you can see a link to here on the New York Times if you haven't seen it yet, a video that went completely viral. So he was caught on tape not only pulling his gun on these teenagers at the pool party, but shoving a young black girl's face into the ground sparked a lot of emotion in the U.S. media, as you can imagine.
And a lot of outcry about whether this is, in fact, another incidence of interracial policing not working. As we can see on the picture, David Casebolt is white, and a lot of these teenagers, not all of them though, were black.
Absolutely. It has sparked, once again, a debate, a national debate on race and police tactics. A very interesting piece in The Guardian that actually sent reporters to McKinley, Texas. So this affluent, predominantly white city where the incident took place. You can see they're talking about a Ferguson-type protest movement growing. Ferguson, of course, is another city where there was an incident of police brutality against a young black man. Now, up until this week, McKinley was perhaps best known for actually being ranked the best place to live in the United States. This is according to a poll in CNN's Money magazine. But The Guardian says that now it's following in the footsteps of not only Ferguson, but North Charleston, Baltimore. Essentially, is becoming synonymous with police brutality against African Americans. Now, nobody died in this incident. That's what's different from the other previous incidents, but it was caught on tape. It's getting a lot of attention. Let's take a look at the Washington Post today. Tom Tolles has his take on it. You can see he's talking about not girls gone wild, but boys gone wild. And you can see this police officer here waving, it seems, at the camera. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see this other little guy saying, well, you have to think about your reputation because, of course, this does put police brutality back in the spotlight.
Very much so. Let's move on to something different now from the Middle East. The Guardian is profiling a Syrian refugee who's been telling the story about how he got out.
That's right. This is a really incredible story. I definitely recommend reading today. It's by Patrick Kingsley. He essentially tracked the story of a 40-year-old named Hashem al-Suki and his 3-year odyssey to find his family a haven from war. It's an incredible story. You can see a map, actually, of his journey that took him from Syria to Sweden. So he first fled the war in Syria to Egypt, and then he crossed the Mediterranean like so many of other migrants, and we've been talking so much
120,000 last year.
Absolutely. We've been talking so much about the migrant crisis in the Mediterranean. It's really interesting to see the human story behind it. Very interesting read I recommend today.
Okay, we've also been talking a lot about another migrant crisis, this time in Southeast Asia. We're talking about what's going on in Burma with the Rohingya community.
That's right. And what's interesting is Burma's historic opposition leader, Aung San Suu Syi, has increasingly come under fire for not speaking out against the persecution that the Rohingya minority suffers in Burma. You can see this piece in Foreign Policy this week. Where is Aung San Suu Kyi when Burma needs her? This article says that the Nobel Prize winner, she is a prospective presidential candidate. She's seen as a beacon of hope for Burma, but her, I guess her democratic credentials are coming under fire because of the Rohingya problem. And you can see this article actually calls on her to stand up for the minority.
Well, today she's in China, isn't she? And the press taking a look at what she's doing in China.
That's right. Her visit there is raising some eyebrows. It's the first official visit for Aung San Suu Kyi to China. You can see this article in The Independent. It says she has nothing on her CV that could possibly appeal to Beijing. Beijing, after all, is a major ally for the military junta that kept her under house arrest for 15 years. And yet she's scheduled to meet the president and the prime minister. You can see here The Independent's interpretation of all this. It's that China is trying to woo Aung San Suu Kyi ahead of Burmese elections. General elections are scheduled for sometime at the end of the year, either October or November. And if we take a look at the Chinese press, they're touching on this as well. You can see here they're talking about how Suu Kyi's visit helps build ties with Myanmar. There's a chance she could be elected president. And even if she's not, her influence is too significant to be ignored by Beijing.
Very interesting indeed. Thanks very much, Flo Villamino there with a look through the international papers today.